Have you ever got stuck preparing a presentation? In the middle of the night, you're sitting at your computer, the blank screen, the blinking cursor, and you just don't know what to say next. You, my friend, are suffering from the paradox of choice, which is when you can say anything, you end up saying nothing. And the solution is a structure, the perfect presentation structure, which is going to make the process of preparation far easier and the results more effective. Let's get into it. What I always say about structure is that it's not sexy, but it is effective. Think of any really creative person. Vincent van Gogh, think of Shakespeare, think of Bob Dylan. They're always using structures, be that still life, landscapes, sonnets, or pop songs. And what the structure does for their work is it puts it in a digestible format, and the same thing is true of your presentation. Now, don't worry about complicated structures, because there are all kinds of things that you're going to find on Google. Structures to persuade, inspire, educate, story archetypes. There's the hero's journey, the rags to riches, overcoming the monster. There's a dearth of potential structures and they're all really complicated. But the thing is, they're very confusing and they will overload your mind. You're going to be exactly back where you started before. What I'm proposing is something much, much simpler. It is the story structure. What's that? Do I need to explain? It is, of course, beginning, middle, and end. Very simple, not a very helpful definition, I understand, so let's try a couple of others. First of all, there is Aristotle talking about the situation, complication, and resolution. So situation is the context, what's going on before, but then there's a complication, something good or bad that happens, a disruption. And then the characters try and resolve things. I'm also a big fan of Kindra Hall talking about the normal, explosion, and new normal. Now that's really effective to talk about right now because we're going through the coronavirus pandemic and we are in the ultimate explosion. But things aren't going to go back to how they were before. There will be a permanent change after this is over. And that change is the essential part of your presentation. Why does this work so well? Well, this is probably one of the most intuitive structures you'll find because it's a structure that humans have been using for 150,000 years, longer than the rational part of our brain has actually even been fully developed. It's very intuitive for us to use and it's very clear for your audience to understand. And that clarity is where your authority is going to come from. What's more, the story structure inherently answers all the questions an audience has. Namely, at the beginning, they want to know, okay, what's this about and how does it relate to me? In the middle, they want to know what's the big significant event, good or bad? What's the change that's going to happen? And at the end, they want to know how does this turn out? What does life look like after that event? Is it better or worse? What's the cost of action or inaction? Now that's much more effective than just a long list of facts, which I speak about in my other video, 10 public speaking mistakes to avoid, which ironically is a list of facts. So how can you get started using story structure in presentations? As I said, it's intuitive, so I'm not going to give too many details, but I reckon it's best to start off in the middle when you're preparing. Think about the conflict, and if you're recommending a particular strategy at work, that is the conflict you're talking about, the way you're going to disrupt the business. Define that clearly, first of all. Then what you can do is think about the context, so what will you be disrupting, what's good about it, what's bad about it. And last of all, then you give the new normal, the change, and that must be different to the situation. Otherwise, what was the point in the whole story at all? So talk about how will life be different if they take your advice? How will life be worse if they don't take your advice as well? Now this story structure is as close as you're going to get to a magic bullet in communication. You can use it in preparing presentations, in answering questions and writing articles because people always need the beginning, middle, the end. They need to know the situation, the complication and the resolution. Now, if you've got any questions about this video, please make sure to put them in the comment section below, as well as other questions about public speaking, storytelling, and communication. I'll make sure to make some content on that in the future. On the way down, make sure you hit like and subscribe. My name is Rob D. Willis, public speaker and storytelling trainer. I will see you next time.